Good evening, ladies, gents, everybody, to the Big Five Racing Podcast. We're grateful to have your company for the next hour or so for a headline weekend of racing here into mid-February. Well, the countdown closes in now to 3 weeks as the postmark. The festival preview circuit is going to begin shortly, and the excitement ahead of racing's Olympics, hopefully in warmer venues than those in Milan and Cortina, but you have every right to exercise your excitement, folks. We will have our own crack at the festival in a few weeks' time, but if you worry that we may be sort of struggling for talking points this week, oh no. Coming up this week, we've got graded racing from Kempton, a 4-mile slog from Newcastle, which is really, truly a bit of matty. The latest edition of our festival features, the return of our naps, and of course the biggest talking horse maybe ever in the game, aiming for a run on Friday that's going to destroy all weather viewership records, regardless of what happens. And of course, as you can see, joining me as ever, Cotty's feeling a little bit unwell this week, but the real star, the birthday boy Blackmore, cruising into the mid-20s. Pretty steady knock, edged a couple along the way, but you're very well settled at the crease now. And how was the birthday weekend?
Yeah, no, I had a nice weekend, nice meal on Friday, and then was away for the weekend up in Liverpool, which was nice. First time in Liverpool, and let me tell you, it definitely won't be the last. Was already had my eye on Aintree as it is, and then since visiting Liverpool, I think I'm nearly a guaranteed runner for one of the days at least. Anyway, so no, that was really good, and yeah, like you say, just when you think, we're getting close to Cheltenham, the racing side, the quality perhaps drops off slightly, but still plenty of talking points and stuff for us to cover, which is brilliant. And yeah, can't wait for these the preview nights to start, and some bullish opinions and some not so some stranger opinions will come out of the woodwork, but yeah, all looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's just such a fantastic time of the year. The build up, it's like Christmas. It's like the build up is almost as good as the event itself. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have all these different pop ups from bookmakers. Me and Cock go to the preview night here every year, which is always a good insight. You get the likes of Ruby Walsh, AP McCoy turning up. So we've got a lot to look forward to, but it's a busy week of racing, like I mentioned at the very top there. We're going to take, like we did last week at the festival features, a bit of a deeper look into the Ryanair, obviously off the back of the week that was. We'll cover shortly. And of course, we've got racing from Kempton, Newcastle, Southwell. It's a busy, busy old week. But before we do all of that, we've got to, of course, look at the week that was. Fortunate enough in some senses to get the racing on because the weather has, of course, just been terrible recently. But Haydock was on, Ascot was on, and Ascot is where we're going to take the headline act here, of course. And we're trying not to mention too much about the Ryanair because, of course, the feature talk point was that Jonbon stepped up to 2 miles 5, his biggest trip yet, Matty. Winner of the Ascot Chase in a really, really exciting tussle with the course specialist and the multiple Grade 1 winner in his own right, Pic D'Orhy. These two went a mile clear. But the progressiveness of Jonbon and whenever he was asked up by Nico de Boinville, and especially the jump at the last, it affirmed to a lot of people who were doubting his staying abilities that he is very, very much a capable 2.5 miler at the top table.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think there was too many doubts before, especially some of his two of his victories at Aintree have been some of his best performances of career. They've been over 2.5 miles. So it's almost left the question, did Nicky Henderson leave it too late to go up to step up in trip? You think about a race like a King George or a Ryanair, or that there's plenty of others, that the Ascot Chase. I know he's won plenty of Clarence Houses. I'm not sure how many exactly, but he's always ran creditably in those, as he has in every race he's ran in, never out the top two. I think that's a remarkable stat. And the one thing he's missing from his CV just is that festival win, and it'll be interesting to see if they go to the Ryanair. My gut instinct is that they won't. I think he's had a hard enough race there, and I think he had a hard enough race the time before, so we know how well he takes his races, but I just think they might want to keep him back and have him bang ready for Aintree, and that will, he will take all the beating in that 2.5 mile Melling Chase around Aintree.
Yeah, in the Melling Chase, he has won twice and quite well on both occasions where his stay-in was proven to people who believed him. And obviously the point with the Ryanair there is you have to look at the owner Silks there and think about his stable for chasers at the minute. He's got Majbra over 2. He's probably going to have Factor File in the Gold Cup. We'll talk about the Ryanair. Maybe he'll go there. Spallan's Tower is still in the picture as well. The likes of Iron Maximus. I know the way you're thinking. JP is so stacked, but you can very clearly see, can't you, that his target should be Aintree and not Cheltenham. And I think that is the consensus coming out of Ascot was, as much as people would like to see him, Cotty especially, to have a festival win in him, it just feels more sensible to go to Aintree, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, we know he likes around there, and historically his Cheltenham record isn't the best, but he still ran some very good races there. Maybe the step up in trip around there just gives him a bit more time. Doesn't all happen so quick for him. We know it's a specialist course, Cheltenham. There's a lot going on. It maybe just going up to 2.5 miles in the Ryanair will just allow him to, progress through the race at his own pace a bit more. But I mean, yeah, it's a big ask for him to go on to Cheltenham, just over 3 weeks later. Then he'll go to Aintree, which is probably another 3 weeks. But like we said, his constitution is amazing, and he certainly isn't showing any signs of regressing just yet, which is superb for the sport. And I think it's definitely worth mentioning Pictor. He's run a superb race as well. That is normally his race. He's done very well in it before. He's just been beaten by a better horse ultimately, but I think he didn't lose anything in defeat. And he surpassed the £1 million mark in prize money. And I think any horse that does that is a truly remarkable animal. For all the lower quality and lower grade horses there are out there, I think these horses need to be recognised. And he's been a brilliant horse for Paul Nicholls.
Marvelous servant, like you said there, and it'd be very interesting to see what the path is going to be for Jonbon. I'm greedy, and I go to both Aintree and Cheltenham, so it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to see him run at one of the two festivals, but I suppose time will tell, and we will take a bit of a deeper look into that Ryanair, his fit into that, and the rest of the picture at the end of the podcast. Eye catches then. Anything else that you like from the rest of the weekend's action?
Yeah, just one that caught the eye for me in the feature handicap hurdle of the day was won by Fiercely Proud for Ben Paulin and Keelan Woods bouncing back to form. But the Tomps on Tomps for Martin Keithley and Freddie Keithley was back in third, only beaten just over a length. First run since a wind operation. Got himself very worked up before the start. Was dropped in stone cold last. And they went a good gallop in this race. And I think, it helped Freddie Keithley and the horse especially coming off of that. But I just think first run after a wind up, that could bring out even more improvement next time. He's got entries in the Martin Pipe and the Coral Cup with Freddie Keithley obviously riding for his father. You'd imagine that the Martin Pipe will be the big aim for this horse, and see him going off quite a nice price just based on smaller connections, smaller trainer Martin Keithley. But I liked a lot of what I saw from the Tomps on Tomps there.
Yeah, only a length and change back there from Fiercely Proud, who I agree was very, very nice at the weekend. Very good jumper, and I think the further the better for that horse, personally. I think he would get 3 miles no problem if he was asked. Ben Pauling firing in Saturday winners left, right and centre, and hopefully that continues right through to the end of the season. Right, that was the action from the weekend from Ascot, and we've got a very, very unique, I would say, big five for you this week. What more do you want for a bit of hype there then from this week's big five? I've already given away my tip for the Southwell race.
I was going to say, nice to see you're already against Constitutional.
You can
give
just
it away there.
There you go. Swipe off now, folks. That's my tip for the Southwell race. 5 races this week then. We've got probably the strangest, definitely the most distance varied big five we've ever done. We have got hurdling and chasing action to come from Kempton. They've got grade 2s there and a nice handicap feature. We've got the Ascot Chase, which takes place at Newcastle over 4 miles, and we will get onto all of that racing first. I never ever thought in this part of the season, we would need to be using the S word. And there's people who obviously follow racing. I'm sure plenty of you are as diehard as myself, Matty and Cotty are, where we watch Wolves when it's on, Kempton, Chelmsford, Newcastle, and Southwell to the absolute brink. Never in my life did I think we'd be talking about Southwell in February. But here we are. That is the state of play for racing. The first race we've got to take you through for this weekend is the 7:30 on the Friday night there as part of this new Invades project that ITV have got going on there. That's the SBK Road to Cheltenham Novices Stakes. It's a Class 2 over 1.4 furlongs. It's been obviously very much at the topic of conversation for how these horses are going to go and who's going to get in, who's not. But we have a market, and we do have, of course, the great Constitution Hill at the very top of that market as the 4-6 favourite. Sheen Murphy's going to take the ride, the 4-time champion jockey in this country, one of the best to ever do it. Square Necker is in there for Amo Racing, Kevin Phillip after Foy, who won last time out quite nicely. Willie Mullen sends Daddy Longlegs over there as well, 7-2. He had a run on the flat early, so he's definitely qualified. Bigger prices about the rest. So, not your forte. You like the all-weather, to be fair, don't you? You do like your all-weather racing.
Yeah, I actually don't mind the all-weather, to be honest. I quite like Wolverhampton. I seem to be quite lucky there as well. Southwell, not so much. But I have said to myself this year, I'm going to give the flat a bit more of a go and try and work my way up and build a bit of knowledge up. I mean, I've found it tricky, but got to broaden my knowledge of the game. So I'm going to try a bit more with the flat racing. I think it's hard to put a tip up in this, to be honest, but I kind of think the obvious one must just be Square Necker, trained by Kevin Phillip, Bart Defoy, flat trainer, David Egan on, obviously superb jockey. Surely this is just bread and butter for this horse. I mean, he won over the trip at Dundalk, since has moved to Kevin Phillip, Bart Defoy. I mean, if we took this in reverse context and say this was a maiden hurdle or a novice hurdle, whatever, and you had the one flat horse in there against a lot of jump horses, you'd back the jump horse is what I'm trying to say. So I feel like let's stick to what we know, go for the flat pedigree, flat horse, and let's just see what else comes out of it. I think all eyes are going to be on one horse and one horse only here, let's be honest. So from a betting point of view, it doesn't really attract me too much. From my point of view, I just want to see how this affects the potential champion hurdle run at all. I mean, I'm struggling to work out what the ideal scenario is for Constitution Hill here. I mean, if he wins, great. There's still going to be a question mark about his jumping. If he's, even if he's beat but runs well, great, but we've still got that question mark. Now, if he's beaten out of sight and, doesn't turn up, then there's question marks because he obviously can't be in love with the game. But then do you say, well, that's not his game. So it's really tough. I don't know what the desired outcome is for Nicky Henderson here. I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
I remember when this news broke about 5 weeks ago, we covered it quite significantly on the podcast, and then whenever he fell in the fighting fifth as well, we all kind of had narratives as to what was going to happen with Constitution Hill. I think the most important thing for him is that he just gets the run under his belt. Towards his credentials for winning a champion hurdle, it won't do anything because we're not going to see him. It's not going to help the pace race of any sort. It doesn't matter how hard they go, how short they go, whether he wins second, third. He just has to get the run under his belt. It was quite annoying. I mentioned it to you there last week with the Kittingwell that went on at Wincanton. I was a bit confused as to why they wouldn't have run him in that because it just seemed like a very optimal target, even if he didn't win. And it makes more sense to run in a good 2-mile race like that versus going against the all-weather that just doesn't really prove anything. I think 4-6 is so short. I mean,
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
I love this horse. You love him. Everybody loves him, but you're asking a lot for him to turn up here and win. I have complimented his speed in the past, and I've said that a flat campaign would be good. I think he could build up to an Ascot Gold Cup or a Chester Cup or something decent over 2 miles, maybe even the Ebor. But I just look at this and you think there's established flat horses like your tip there, Square Necker, who's proved outside at Dundalk, and the difference between those two things is so seismic. I'm sorry, I didn't exactly give much away clicking the wrong thing there, but I went with Daddy Longlegs for this at 7-2 because he ran third. I think it was Ballinrobe in the summer against. I'm trying to think of the name of the horse now. Karma's, who since came out and was second to Scandinavia. Sorry, no, he ran in the St Leger behind Scandinavia, but was second in the Voltager to Pride of Aris, who won a big Group 1 there at the start of the season. He won the Dante. So the form lines for Daddy Longlegs going on the flat here was what incentivized me. But just before we do move on from this, obviously it's all been well documented, so I'm not going to copy and paste what's been said, but there's obviously the idea that he doesn't get into this race. And I would be very concerned, I don't know about you, but if they've designed this race, they've tried to increase the capacity both in the stables at Southwell and the field size, put £40,000 on. If he doesn't get in, is that not just the biggest shambles ever? It seems like that to me.
Yeah, I think it would be one of the most BHA things ever to happen in racing. But I mean, I can't see why everyone's confused. You know, you're putting a race on worth that much money. A lot of people go. I mean, you look at the list of trainers that have entered: Dan Scout and Fergal O'Brien, John Joe O'Neill, Paul Nichols. The list is endless. I mean, of course, it was always going to attract so many horses. So, look, I think we all know that he is going to end up running here, whether that's, you know,
They'll
done
find
through.
a way.
They'll find a way, whether it's, you know, the completely legitimate way or not. We won't know. But I mean, if you've bought a ticket for it and he doesn't run, I think, are you still going? I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I potentially thought about it, but I probably wouldn't make it, to be honest, in time after work. But yeah, I don't think you're getting half the crowd in if he doesn't run. So again, that's a big thing. I mean, the tickets have already been bought, so the money's come back. But yeah, I just think hopefully he gets in. Like, we want to see the horse, we want to see him race. Is it going to answer any questions for a champion hurdle? Sadly, probably not. But
it's going to be good telly. Like, they're going to make
it
this
will,
out like it's
yeah. And
the
I can
biggest thing
imagine,
ever.
obviously, ITV have been pushing these Friday nights, and the one recently at Newcastle seemed to go very well. I mean, it was completely different from what you would normally watch on the telly if you're watching racing, especially, and even in all weather meeting. I mean, you're lucky to spot anyone in the crowd at Wolverhampton on some nights. So it was great to see something different, and I think they've done a really good job on ITV of pushing it and promoting it and difference in it. Obviously, I wasn't there, but it seemed to go down really well. Plenty of students there, and ultimately, that's the future of racing. We've got to try and keep building, building these platforms to build to you know, for the future. So be a great spectacle, something to watch on a Friday night, because, you know, we don't often have a lot on telly Friday night, us football fans. So yeah, great spectacle. Let's hope he gets in, and yeah.
I just can't wait for the old heads in the sport who I've got a lot of respect for. Like, I work in a futuristic sport. Like, obviously with boxing, we've got the misfit stuff that's come out in a couple of years, like Jake Paul, AJ, Mike Tyson fighting everybody. Like, I'm very much used to anything goes now, but I can just imagine they're going to transition from the speed dating to probably the greatest hurdler of the last 15 years in one motion, and it's just gonna. Twitter's going to lose it. But I think I agree with you. It's going to be very, very good telly. It's hard to have a bet in the race. I might just stick a tenner on Daddy Longlegs just for shits and gigs. But I have to look. I'll do the betting perspective for this. Cornhill, if you're buying into him at 4-6, you must think that he's going to be rapid. That's how I would look at it, anyways. On to the proper stuff. What do I lose here? We've got 3 races from Kempton. No, actually, I quite like this card most years because it's a bypasser. Really, it's most people would describe this as the last chance to get a run in before you go to the festival. And the fact that they've got 2 novice races and a juvenile graded and then a big handicap, I suppose you could work towards the ultimate as a late sneak in. It's quite a good card at Kempton on Saturday, so we'll take you through 3 of the races there. And of those first races that we've got to cover for you from Kempton, it is the 145 there. The Ladbrokes Adonis Juvenile Hurdle. It's a grade 2 over 2 miles class 1 event for the 4-year-olds. Odds on favourite in this one then for the Skeletons. He was quite impressive when he was here last time. Precious Man, 5 to 6, Dan and Harry. Ollie's go off 11-5. One Horse Town, who I've backed twice and has finished third and second this season. I remember seeing him at Cheltenham, a bit disappointed he couldn't get up there. For Harry Durham, I think he expects a lot more out of this horse. Mustang du Bril, lovely name, French import there for Henderson, and JP7 to 2, big all prices about the rest. Precious Man then at the top then for the Skeletons, was very, very good here when he won last time. Seemed to just, the further the race went on, he looked more and more confident under him, didn't he, Harry? And understandably the 5 to 6 favourite here, if on the short side, but you wouldn't be off-putting by 5 to 6, would you?
No, not at all. And I think I'd absolutely have him to reverse the form with Precious Man here. Obviously, not Precious Man. One Horse Town got the better of Precious Man at Cheltenham. And I just think Precious Man made a mistake at the last that day, and that probably cost him. Went and showed all of his ability last time at Kempton very impressively. The form of that's very good. I think the fourth it was that day. The third, Sonata has came out and won today. The second has came out and won again since. So I just think that form is pretty rock solid. You'd imagine that this horse, Precious Man, will skip Cheltenham and go to Aintree. Dan Skelton and connections already have Maestro Conti for the Triumph. That looks to be their number one shot in the Triumph. So I think Precious Man will take this on the way to going on to Aintree and probably having a great chance there as well. I thought the filly in the race for Jane Williams and Kieran Gethins was interesting. La Luna Artista, only 4.5 lengths behind Maestro Conti at Cheltenham. She'll be getting weight all round here.
A lot of weight, and 12 pounds.
Yeah, she's getting plenty of weight and always worth considering. And I think Jane Williams genuinely does well with her younger horses. They seem to progress very quickly at a young age. A lot of them are often sent chasing as 4 and 5-year-olds. So this horse will certainly be ready. Whether it's got the class to beat a Precious Man, I'm not quite sure, but I could see potentially running into a place. And the Nicky Henderson JP McManus horse has entered in the Dove Cut as well. So you'll be waiting to see where that horse goes. I kind of would be inclined to think the Dove Cuts might be a weaker race, and I think there would be a weight allowance for the horse if it ran there, but have to see. No jockey bookings yet, so we can't be sure.
I think it's going to go here, and that was my tip as well. Just based on the markets for the Dove Cut, it's 5s out to 8s already, so I don't know what that tells you. But then it's drifting for this as well, so it's a bit difficult to tell. Either race that he went in, I'd be quite keen to back him. I was really bored earlier because I wasn't working, so I watched the O'Twee hurdle he ran in last year. And there was a lot of good signs. It wasn't very. It actually won at a massive price, and it wasn't very surprising to see this get snapped up pretty quickly by JP McManus and sent straight to Nicky Henderson. Where we only seen it 2 weeks ago as well. Was a short price favourite in a Doncaster 2-mile juvenile. James Bowen took the ride that day and it won by 3.5 and. Did everything right that you want to see. The most important thing you want to see from these juveniles is them get over their hurdles and be quick doing so as well. It doesn't really matter about the interims for races. They're going to learn on the job. Most of these will end up going chasing, but he got over his obstacles pretty fine that day. I wouldn't put you off that favourite for a minute, to be fair. I thought 5 to 6, I might just be able to take him on. But Precious Man was very good here last time, but Mustang du Bril, definitely butchering that, was the one that kind of came off the page for me. Crack straight on then, 225 at Kempton, the Ladbrokes Pendle Novices Chase. It's a grade 2 over 2.5 miles. Another pretty short favourite in here for Lucy Wadham. That is Jacks Jr. chasing its third win in 4. 5 to 4. Go West there for Paul Nicholls. He's got a double entry in here, but Cobden's jocked up on both. This looks like the one that'll go 3 to 1. 7's bar, so it's just 2 at the top of the market and then a few down. Novice Chase division over 2.5 miles is a bit sort of. It's losing its interest pretty quickly here because obviously Grey Dawning won the Turners at one stage, but now it's turned into a 2-6 handicap. That you kind of feel like options are 2 and 3 miles for a lot of these horses, but like it's a good price to pick up. Lucy Wadham's got a nice one on her hands here with Jacks Jr. With or against?
Yeah, be tough to be against this horse, to be honest. I think brings in a lot of potential. Like you say, the 2.5 mile novice chase division just isn't really one to get excited about anymore.
Hmm.
Whether that's to do with the turners now a handicap probably, but yeah, disappointing. You'd like to see some potentially better horses here, but slightly boring selection. But I just can't see how Jax Junior shouldn't be winning this. Looks progressive over fences. Won over 2 mile at Sandown last time. 2 mile around Sandown, a very stiff 2 mile, stepping up to 2.5 isn't going to be a problem. Has got form over 2.5 over as a novice hurdler as well, so no concerns about staying. Yeah, Lucy Wadham looks to have a very smart one on her hands here, and you'd imagine for this horse again, it'll be a pick up this prize and probably onto Aintree for the manifesto. There actually wasn't too much screaming out in the rest of the race, to be honest. I thought Blue King Daru's been very underwhelming since going chasing. He looks to hate every second of it, to be
Yeah.
honest. Harry Cobden jocked up on both that and Go West in the race. So, I mean, you suppose you'd have to be taken by whichever one he chooses to ride. He must think it's got a chance, but no, a weak enough grade 2, and I think it'd be nice for Lucy Wadham to pick up a big prize here as Jax Junior.
Yep. I'm going to take the establishment with Go West. Probably the only disappointing run of the season came when he was at Kempton at the start of the year, but bounced back there at Musselburgh a couple of weeks ago and won a nice pot there. 2.5 miles is absolutely finitely his trip. We know that now. He's been running over that pretty much all season. He won a heads up at Warwick at the start of the year quite nicely, and I wouldn't say he's been building on it all the time, but the form line for me was the fact he finished second to Jordan's Cross, who won there on trials day in the handicap, and was only nosed out of it that day. And I think if that form line can sort of build up, then there might be just enough for this horse to keep going. Rated 140, so it's got £6 to find on Jax Junior. I think that's pretty fair, and that's reflected in the prices. Again, this could well just be a case of the favourite's the best horse in the race, but I thought 3-1 wasn't the worst value in the world, and it's just a case of fingers crossed Cobden wants to get on board that one. Firing through these, we've got a couple of handicaps to take you through then to wrap this up. The 335 from Kempton is the Ladbrokes Trophy Handicap Chase. That's over the dead 3 miles. It's a Class 1 event with a 5-1 state of the field. Sam Thomas's horse, this has already been very well back. 12s, 8s, 7s, 6s, 5s now. About Katate Dory getting 10 stone 13 and has won this race in the past. Ho, Jolly Smoke there. 7s for the Skeletons. Caduce St. Frey is over. Anthony Honeyball takes that one down at 9-1. Dorian Chief is 9-1, and then it's big prices about the rest. Talk Sam Thomas to me then, Matty. Very good money for this horse already. Second last time out at I think it was Cheltenham. One of the 5 seconds I had that day. Well back, loves this place. Easy pickings.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Thomas targets these handicap chases really well, and he seems to just always have a horse in them. And obviously, we'll go on to the Ida later. He's got one of the shorter price runners in that as well. Hard to be against this horse for sure, but like you say, you've kind of missed the price now if you did fancy it. But yeah, it could be chucked in here off 136. One I quite fancied one at a bigger price, to be honest. Look Away for Neil King and Jack Quinlan around the 16-1 mark. One last time out at Kempton over 2.5 miles. Was actually very impressive that day. Really absolutely stuffed Leader in the Park, to be honest. And Leader in the Park's actually a shorter price here, and I couldn't really work out why. Neil King after the race mentioned that this would probably be the likely target for this horse. And I just think 16-1's a massive prize. Good to soft ground. Looks like what we're going to get at Kempton at the moment. There is a rain forecast, but Kempton typically isn't one of those places you'd associate with bottomless ground. So you'd like to hope even with rain to come, it might still be good to soft. And the only the question mark with this horse potentially is his stamina. This will be his first time at beyond 2.5 miles, stepping up to 3. But I think Kempton's a nice track to try that out. Not the stiffest test.
It's not a hard place to stay, is it, Kempton?
Exactly. No, just needs to be a good jumper. But this horse jumped very well last time, and nicely freshened up since then. Hopefully, could go close. So I think 16-1's a massive price, and that's if it's that price on the day, I'll certainly be taking a bit of each way money on that.
Yeah, it's been a good season for Lookaway. 16's a big price there to try and get into the picture for this handicap. I know you're probably asking a lot for this horse to have gone up £11 from when he won this last season, but I just have always really liked Itate Dory. It was disappointed at the start of the season at Aintree, and then he was in the middle of the pack at Newbury in the Hennessy. So, like, I mean, his ratings stayed pretty similar. He was second at Cheltenham on New Year's, which I thought was good, behind Hercules Westwood, who I think is a very, very good horse in time. Still kind of floats within respect here within the market. I mean, 10 stone 13 is just dead weight, really. There's nothing that he's going to have to worry about carrying. I wouldn't necessarily say the horses at the top of the weights are that worrying. I mean, Boomborn is 16-1. Henry's Friend, me and you have tipped that horse up plenty, and I think 16-1 is a very reasonable price if he did go here. I thought Josh the Boss as well at 20-1. He seems to have had a pretty good season, 2 wins in there. Very good model of consistency with that horse as well. So there is a couple of big prices that I wouldn't put you off, and Lookaway splits those in the market. But I know 5-1 is pretty short for a race of this caliber, but I mean, what would I be doing on here? Not hyping up Sam Thomas horses that just seem to get it right whenever they need to. Uno Mas, up to Newcastle then. You were desperate to get this in. The 243 there is the Virgin Bet Daily Extra Places Eider Handicap Chase over 4 miles, 1.5 furlongs. You could probably make 2 cups of tea and not have to worry about missing much in this race. It's 5-1 the field again with a Nick Gifford horse. A JP McManus won a work in the progress has come for quite good money in the last 24 hours at 5. Jubilee Express 11-2 for Sam Thomas again. Anglos Crag's won this before as 6-1 for Nicky Richards, Danny McMenamin. And then it's 8s, 10s, 12s, whatever you like about the rest of these. These races, my God. I love them. I think they're great. This really is what National Hunt Racing is about. It's how good can you stay on testing conditions on a pretty tight track at Newcastle, get you jumping right, and be there at the end. Very few finish in these races, but hopefully you've managed to pick one that will.
Yeah, I thought this was a very good renewal as well. Some really likable horses in here, and some very good ones as well. Obviously, we'll start with the favourite. Not my tip in the race, but could be potentially chucked in here for Nick Gifford. Sending this horse a long way up to Newcastle. Won over 3.5 miles at Lingfield last time. Stepping up to 4 miles doesn't seem like it's going to be a problem. I just would want to see really soft ground for this horse. Soft at the moment. Probably want to see, borderline heavy. I think he really thrives when he's on a real soft surface. 2 in the race that I'm going to pick again at each way price is a bit of a theme, but I think you're probably going to get extra places, and these 2 might run into one. First is Dom of Mary. It was a horse that I backed when he won around Newcastle, 3 miles 6 that day, and God, he needed every yard of it. We were at Newbury in the William Hill there with me, and I think me and Rye or me and Gappy had a good go on it, and looked beat, turning in, to be honest, and absolutely flew home. So stepping up to 4 mile won't be a problem for this horse.
I can just imagine if that was Gappy, the screaming that would have gone on that TV.
Yeah, there was a lot of noise. I think it might have been Rye though, but there's a lot of noise. 10 stone 2 here, which is, again, this horse seems to run his best races when he's chucked in off low weights. That was the case last time at Newcastle when he won. Ran in the Welsh National last time, 6th, ran okay, but this will probably be more his cup of tea. 4 mile featherweight, and James Owens, he's very good trainer. Probably had this race in mind for this horse when he won the time before last. And the other one was a horse that's just creeping back down in ratings, and it's Tanganyika for Venetia Williams. Now, we all know she's not had a great time of recent, but she did fire in a couple of winners over the weekend too. So hopefully she's turning the corner. And this horse, like I say, he got killed in the handicap for winning round Carlisle. He then ran second to Mr. Van Gogh at Uttoxeter in the Midlands National off top weight, which was a fantastic run. And since then, this season, it's looked hard work for him off such a high mark, but he got dropped £5 from his last run in the Welsh National. Now he's just creeping back down to what might be a more workable mark for him. And with Venetia coming back into form, I think it's well worth considering this horse. Slight nibbles already as well, 22s, 20s into 16. So there's two there in each way price, and hopefully one of them, or if not both, could run into the frame.
What a nice forecast that'd be. Two in the double digits there. Dom of Mary Tanganyika off quite nice weights. I'm going to take the old boy here, Angler's Crag for Nicky Richards. He won the race in 2024. I tipped him up for that as a 9-year-old. Bypassed it last year because he ran Musselburgh a couple of weeks before, and he ran a good fourth there. Pulled up twice then at the end of the season in quite good races at Uttoxeter and Park, but then came back into form there late in November when he won in Carlisle in a 3.5 mile handicap, 3 miles handicap rather, quite nicely. So you know exactly what you're going to get with Angler's Crag. He's been around in this game and this company for a long time. The one thing, and especially with the description, like you mentioned there, going into a heavy perspective, is you want a horse that you know is absolutely going to stay 4 miles. You know, if you've won the race before, that's, you know, prudent evidence that you're going to be able to. I didn't have I thought your analysis was a lot better than mine there, because other than that, I didn't like a ton. Again, very interesting, like you said there about Nick Gifford sending one up. Equally for Sam Thomas coming all the way down from South Wales, sending Jubilee Express up here, who we've seen running Welsh Nationals before, really consistent type, and we get again here off 10 stone 4 off 130. Not jocked up because, like we just mentioned it there off air, about it'll be difficult to see who goes here. But you know, if a Brian Hughes or something gets on board this, I don't think it's going to be going off 11-2. But it was Angler's Crag for me, and it was a case of that's probably the weakest I have of my 5 selections this week. That's a fast big 5 for you. Then we've got races from 4 miles to a mile 4. If there wasn't something in there for you, I don't know where we're ever going to find it. But that is the big 5, and we have got the return this week of our nap of the weeks. And I'll let you pick the toss here, first or second.
I'll go first.
Ball
no jockey booking for mine yet, but it's a Willie Mullins horse entered at Exeter in the bumper on Friday. Sparkling Wit, owned by Rich Ritchie. I believe it's a brother to Gaelic Warrior, and from a good friend of mine, Will, who actually went there to ride out in the summer, actually rode this horse quite a bit, and let's just say he's a big fan of him. He's got a few big price anti-post slips for various champion bumpers. And so I'm hoping this horse might kick off here at Exeter. I'm just a bit concerned if it's going to go to the champion bumper. That's a sharp turnaround for this horse, but maybe it's likely to go to Aintree or Punchestown potentially instead. But yeah, I've heard good things. I mean, it's likely to be a short price, but I'm going to put some faith in my old mate Will, who never fails to him, to be fair. So yeah, we'll go with that, and hopefully we get a run, and Patrick Mullins might be able to tick off another one of his race courses. I don't know if he's rode a win around Exeter. I don't think
I would have to imagine that he wouldn't go there if he didn't already have it ticked off.
Yeah, that's my hope.
On holiday too.
Probably not, no. So yeah, let's hope he gets jocked up on that, and we get rocking and rolling.
Nice. Will's nap there, Sparkling Wit, and now we know he loves a bet, my goodness. So he normally gets them right, to be fair to him. So interesting he's picked out the Rich Ritchie horse there. We had the Dovecot built in anyways, and this was going to be my nap regardless. I've gone for Hamlet's Night here at a nice price. He's already about 9-2, 5-1 in a couple of different places, and is quite annoyingly jocked up for Kempton tomorrow on the all-weather, but I'm hoping that they're going to come here instead. If he does manage to do that, it's been a very good season for him. Won at Warwick at the very start of the season, at the back end of the summer. He was a good summer horse as well. He had wins at Stratford, was second at Cartmel. And I suppose the main run for me was when he ran our old pal, Give It To Me OJ, second very close in the Mastersons, I think it's called, the 4-year-old race that they run there at the November meeting. So I was That's a nice form line. And then was second to Rubo in Canton. Obviously, Rubo ran last weekend, bit disappointingly, really. I thought, well, not disappointingly. I mean, he ran a really decent race in the end. It was just unable to get there. So hoping the form lines of Hamlet's Night are there. If he doesn't go in the race at Saturday in Kempton, then I'm probably just going to back him on the all weather tomorrow anyway. So regardless, Hamlet's Night is my nap of the week. Just wherever that is in the week, I don't know. But I thought that was an interesting one to take there at a nice little price. Nap of the week's into the book. Then we've got one more thing to do for you, and that is take you to our festival features.
Clear at the final fence now. He's over safely. He paddled his way through it, but he's clear of Daniel staying on in second.
Video there from Aloho when he won his second Ryanair there a couple of years ago. I was there that day, and my goodness, I just felt like that was one of the big eruptions. I think a lot of people were struggling that day when Gallop into Champ fell early in the card, and a lot of the Irish gambles were just going backwards, and that really resonated with a lot of people after just before Florian Porter won his second stayers as well that year. Fantastic day that was. The Ryanair Chase is our festival feature for this week. Last week we looked at the stayers. This week we're going to take a good dive into the 2.5 mile grade 1 on the Thursday. A very good Thursday card now this year as well. We've got the mares on there, switching over to the new course with plenty of others of good interest. The market for this one is, of course, really interesting, Matty, because the one thing we're trying to do with the Ryanair this year is figure out who of the two Willie Mullins horses is likely to line up here. I can guarantee one of them will. I just can't guarantee which one. We came out of the Irish Gold Cup when Factor File won, and I made the immediate assumption that he was dead to rights go into the 3 mile race. And then I mentioned to you, Gaelic Warrior, who you tipped up for the Gold Cup, was likely to come back here, and you were a bit forlorn about that, obviously because you've had him anti-post and whatever else. But he looks to me, anyways, like he's going to be the main contender here. About 9-4 if you want to take the open markets. He's evens with non-runner and money back. And then to look into the rest of the race, you've got Jonbon, who we mentioned probably may go here, may not. He's about a 4-5 shot. Hartwood, ultra consistent for Rob Core at 8. Ampere Pass, who ran last weekend, is 8-1. Banbridge's 10s will need his ground, of course. And then there's a couple others there. The likes of Firefox, Panic Attack would possibly go in here as well. But back to Gaelic Warrior at the top of the market first then. Have you come to the understanding that he's the most likely of the Willie Mullins pair to come here? And are you okay with the fact that's probably the case?
I was coming to terms with it until Patrick Mullins' interview after Carlisle on Monday, where he seemed like he was still really keen to get this horse in a Gold Cup. Now, it depends how well he can convince his father, but he just thought he listed the reasons as to why the horse could run really well in a Gold Cup, and I completely agreed. I think I said it previously on the podcast. It could get him dropped in off a strong pace. He'd have plenty of cover. He'd switch off, which means then he would get home, and I think he would get the trip. I've just having a look at the market beforehand. I was just thinking, there's not impossible that both of the top two go to the Gold Cup. Now, then that leaves a market to get involved in, I think. So you're 11-2 the field if the top two come out currently. And then, wow, I mean, first of all, I mean, I was going to put this horse up as an anti-post selection a few weeks ago after he won at Windsor, but Protectorat's 25-1. I can't see why he wouldn't come here. Especially it's going to cut up a bit, and I just think 25-1, he should be in the places I would have thought. Now, if Factor File and Gaelic Warrior come here, potentially not, but he looked very good at Windsor. Didn't show any signs of regressing or age catching up with him, and he's going to run his race here. Softer ground will help him. It might just help him get into the race a bit more. So from a betting angle, I thought he was a big price. But other than that, I'm struggling to with what to go with. I thought Ampere Pass looked good on his comeback the other day. So potentially for him, he might be the dark horse here. But we know he likes Aintree. He might just bounce if they run him too quick. So he might just need a bit more time. Go to Aintree with him. And I think Jonbon would have a great chance if he came here, but we spoke about him earlier and we're both not sure he'll come here. So, yeah, it's a really tricky market. And again, hard to get involved until we know a bit more, I think. But be interested to see what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, I agree with quite a lot of what you said there. I thought Protectorate at a big price is a more than fair shout. We know he can run his races. He loves Cheltenham. He's won Grade 1s before, and there's no reason that he wouldn't come here, like you said. And equally, Dan Skelton is going to want to fire bullet for bullet as much as he can with Willie over the space of 4 days to just sort of, he probably has already won it, but to affirmate the idea of him winning that championship, he's going to want to send everything he has, every old guard that he possibly can, and that is effectively his only one here. I suppose Panic Attack as well, but you would think that of the two, Protectorate's the more likely.
I think
the top
Panic
of the
Attack,
market,
I'd imagine Panic Attack will go for the Mayor's Chase.
oh, you'd have thought so, yeah.
Same course and same trip.
Yeah,
and
but then I looked at that.
Sex.
Yeah, but then I looked at the Mayor's Chase and I thought Willie's already got such a stranglehold on it as it is already. He might just decide, well, I'd rather have the big pot than take the Mares, because like the amount of mares that Willie has that he can send to that race is ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
like
but I think it's one
and others, Dino Blue.
Oh, she'll be in the Arkle.
You think?
Yeah, and I think I'll back her as well. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get onto that in the weeks to come. But
yeah, watch your tip for the Ryanair Cargeese and the Arkle.
yeah, Cargill's the Arkle. I just think, like you say, Willie has so many mares to run in the Mayor's Chase. Dan will be plotting carefully to, Panic Attack's been a phenomenal this season. But
course,
anyway, back to the Ryanair.
Yeah, back to the Ryanair. I'm now pretty sure. And there isn't essentially like people go on all the time about like how Paul Townend would have favours to ride for Richie over McManus or the other way around, or Willie would have to incentivise giving McManus more of a choice with what he has because he's supported him longer than Rich Ritchie. All of that is complete nuisance. We play Willie Bingo the same way the owners do. I'm absolutely sure of that. And we're not going to know, probably until the week of it, where these two horses are going to go. My instinctive tuition on this is Factor File was too good in the Irish Gold Cup to come here. Obviously, he won this last year. He's proven over 2.5 miles, but now that he's proven himself as a good enough stayer in a open enough Gold Cup, he would be the favourite for it. I think he's more likely to come there. And Gaelic Warrior, who I alluded to it a couple of weeks ago, his best run this season came in the John Darkin over 2.5 miles. I'm not saying he doesn't get 3. He's won a bowl. He's been good in 3 miles this season. He was good in the King George. He was good the other week in the Irish Gold Cup. So I'm not doubting Gaelic Warrior's stamina for a second, but I think this is the better target for him. With that interview you referenced there earlier about Patrick Mullins, he is going to say that because if Gaelic goes to the Gold Cup, he's going to ride him. If Gaelic comes to the Ryanair, he's not going to get the ride because it'll be Townend. Because regardless, obviously, Factor Foul will be ridden by Mark Walsh, so he is going to say that. So I think that the knowledge will come to be that Gaelic Warrior runs here, and if he runs here, I'm trying to think of the entire card now. Yeah, he'd be my nap. He'd be my nap at the next 5 festivals, I think.
Yeah, sell out, as Johnny Deneen likes to say.
No offers. Absolute certainty to win this race if he came here. He's just that bit better. There is, like you said, there's good horses in here. I've been a big fan of Heartwood. He was second last year in the race, was very good, but was still a mile behind Factor File. On Perry Pass, could be anything. Banbridge wouldn't turn up if the ground was anything worse than soft. And even if it was on good ground, he was so disappointed in that Gold Cup last year on good ground that I just don't think he's a Cheltenham horse, personally, Banbridge. So take out the rest of the market. Like the likes of Firefox has had good runs this season, but it's probably a 2 mile and not 2.5. So Gaelic Warrior comes here.
I think you'd have, it'd remind me of the time I backed him when he won the Arkle and he turned in and Paul was just laughing. He was absolutely, you watching his hands and he's taking a pull and weaving, and that was one of the better moments I've had on a race course. So if he came here, like you say, he'd be probably not far off what you'd like to say a certainty, and I think it would be exactly like that Arkle win where he was just turning and he'd just be playing with whatever's in front of him, which I don't imagine would be a lot.
No, because he'll get to boss the race in this sense as well. There's not a whole lot of 2.5 mile dead pace on here. If Jonbon came, he'd probably want to go quite hard. Hartwood will sit back. Ampere Pass will sit back. So Gaelic Warrior will get the dimensions of the race that he wants to. And I want Gaelic Warrior to come here so I can back them both in a double, where I can do Gaelic in the Ryanair, and then Factor File would probably be my Gold Cup horse at the minute. Again, it's difficult at this stage, but that's the way I'm playing things. But my fingers are crossed. Gaelic Warrior comes here, and being professional on this, I think this is probably where he's most likely to end up. That's all I really have to add to it. So, the closing comments on the Ryanair.
Yeah, like you say, if Gaelic Warrior turns up here, yeah, but all in on him. Sadly for me, I think it'll be him over Factor File if Willie sends. If Willie sends just the one. We haven't even spoke about if they were both to come here. Do you think that's a possibility?
That is absolutely, that's not possible, because then that leaves Willie not short-handed for the Gold Cup, because he'd still have Gallopin, probably Spillane Tower.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tower's not his. Another Iron Maximus.
Yes.
I still think I don't think he would put both of them in here. I know if he put both of them in here, he's guaranteeing himself 200 grand, but Willie just isn't like that. He's
not. Yeah, so like you say, it probably is going to be Gaelic Warrior if it's one of the two, and he should take all of the beating. And what does look at weak renewal. I mean, but then let's hope, mate. Let's hope Jonbon turns up, for example, and let's have Gaelic Warrior versus Jonbon, and that will be a belter. That will be a belter of a race. But yeah, not too much to add really, other than what we've mentioned. I mean, I'm looking down. I'm struggling to see, is there anything that runs into a place at a big price? I've put down Protectorat. Envo Allen goes to the Gold Cup.
Yeah, good.
Romeo Coolio doesn't come here. Matata on good ground potentially, but maybe that'd be one for that'd be one for Cotty. He's obviously a big fan of Matata. So yeah, it's tricky to see anything else at a big price. And sadly, I think what we are going to get here is probably a small field.
Probably.
You're thinking maybe 6-7 runners potentially.
Yeah.
But that's kind of been what it is. It's kind of how it's been of recent times with the Ryanair. So not a surprise, but disappointing all the same.
Yeah, I'll put my next 6 months' rent on Gaelic Warrior winning this race if I can get even money on the day. I won't, but if I did. Doesn't matter what happens on Tuesday and Wednesday, because my God, the lot's going on the Thursday. Gaelic Warrior should win it. Hartwood would be my each way. You agree with Gaelic Warrior Protectorat into the places. And that is the Ryanair Festival feature done. We've got one more to come up for you next week, the Cheltenham Gold Cup. So make sure you're with us next week for that too.
Clear at the final fence now. He's over safely. He paddled his way through it, but he's clear of Daniel staying on in second.
Romeo done. There we go, folks. That is the big five for this week into the books. We had a good look there at the Ryanair at the end, and we've got this weird, you will never see it again, one-of-a-kind 5 races that we did. Constitution Hill on Friday night. I'll tell you what, Matty, I don't go out on Fridays anyways, but if I was, I'd be cancelling my plans. ITV4 is going on. I can't wait for this.
Yes, definitely. Like you say, I mentioned earlier, we don't normally have a lot to watch on a Friday night. Bit of EFL football if you're lucky, but no, I'll be fully tuned in for ITV racing on Friday. Let's just hope he runs and gets there. And yeah, sure to let's give it a good go, and hopefully we can pick a few winners if we're all having a watch.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'll probably end up betting through the card now. And I'm on a little
well,
bit
that's
of a
only
break,
how it works.
Yeah, true. Oh, one race of Southwell. No, there's not usually about 10. But yeah, that'll be good fun. Any weekend plans other than that? We're back on the Prem now, which is good.
Yeah, off to the Villa on Saturday. We've got Leeds at home, so
Nice.
Big game, and we need to kind of pull our fingers out a bit. We've let it slip a little bit recently, so and that's always a good game. not had much luck going to watch us against Leeds at home. I think they've beat us a couple of times, so fingers crossed that changes this weekend. Be trying to keep my eyes on Kempton and Newcastle as best as possible too.
Anything you'd like to say to Marco Bizzo whilst you have the chance?
Oh God. Just, I mean, you've got that. I mean, luckily, to be honest, I think because of the standard of officiating in the game, he's actually escaped a lot of criticism there because the focus has been well and truly on the officiating, which was horrific. But yeah, Newcastle weren't even in that game until that point, and then before you know it, it's 3-1. So yeah, like they say, didn't want to win the cup anyway. Focus on the league.
I'm bang up for it, mate. Newcastle in the next round, Newcastle at the weekend. So keep giving them to us, keep beating them.
I was actually thinking to myself earlier. I mean, we're not a football podcast, so we won't go on too much, but there's a chance this season that you've got City and Arsenal batting it out for the title. City and Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final. City Arsenal in the FA Cup final. Now that is a horrific.
We're both still in Europe.
Yeah, and that has to be a horrific look for English football. So I kind of hope that happens. So might give us a chance of spending a bit of money at some point. But anyway, we're not a football podcast, so we won't say anymore.
Because it'll be football, then we'll talk about how good the cricket's been, and we'll just be here all fucking night. So we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, folks, for joining us. I hope you got a bit of insight there towards the Ryanair at the end. That could turn into a great race if it's Gaelic Warrior, Jonbon, Hartwood, and Perry Pass and Co. Look forward to Friday night, all of you. I think it's going to be great. If any of you are going to Southwell, enjoy the speed dating. Enjoy Invades having a microphone in your face every 5 seconds. I'm sure that's an enjoyable experience to some of you, but I'll just be on the telly watching, so will Matty. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Cotty will be back next week as well. So thank you for being patient with us. And we will see you next week for the Gold Cup preview.